Hello, welcome back to Scaling It Up. This is our podcast. So it's 2026 and we thought we'd do something a little bit different, didn't we, Jarrod?
We did, yeah. We thought we'd do it in person this time, face to face.
Yeah, so we've done a few episodes now that have been online. We've used a platform. And then we thought, why not try and make it a little bit more studio style? So that's what we're going to do.
Yep.
And with that, we thought we'd do a bit of an introduction episode, really, because we also realised we sort of went straight into topics with the first few that we did. So we really wanted to talk a little bit about us, how we both got to where we are, how we met, why we started this, and
So we get from there. Yeah, because it's important, isn't it? Because a lot of the things we're talking about is about the sort of business journey into how people get into the jobs they do. Because I think the first one we talked about people, didn't we? And the importance. Yeah. So it's about us as people, isn't it? And how you can get the best out of people. And when we're in business, what is it we give into businesses that how have we got here? What's our experience?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got a few topics we're thinking of for the future, but obviously you want to know who you're hearing from. So hopefully this is a good little intro into who we are. So we'll do it a bit interview styley, but a bit more conversational.
Yeah,
I think.
And make it up as we go along.
Yeah.
So
do you want to go first? What's your background work-wise?
Yeah. So I'm quite a bit older than you, and so I've got a bit more work under the belt. I think my proper work started outside once I left university, and I was a buyer to start off with. And then from buying, I got on well with one of the guys who used to buy off us, and he offered me a job in sales. And it was like, I'm not sure I can do sales. And it goes back to that training thing. Like sales is like very specialist, I thought, but it kind of wasn't.
I think everyone thinks that with sales, don't they?
Yeah.
When I first started my business, and I'll come on to that later, but I remember thinking, I'm going to hate that bit. I'm going to hate the selling, but we're all selling all the time. We're all having conversations with people and kind of showing our best selves and showing how we can support and help, and that's ultimately what it is. But you'll obviously know more than me.
But you're absolutely right. It is, and I think all the best salespeople I've ever met are people who don't think they're salespeople. Because they're not trying to force it. They're not trying to follow the Miller-Hyman method or all these other methodologies that people spend thousands of pounds on. They're just being themselves and having conversations and understanding what it is that the customer or the other person wants. So I went into sales, and it's kind of where I've been ever since, really, in one form or another. And I don't know whether I was lucky or not. It was quite a small business I was in, so I kind of fell into that position of, because I was a bit of experience, then I kind of got the sales manager job, which again I think is something we talked about, isn't it? That the people that get the sales manager job just because they happen to have been there a little bit longer, they had no aptitude for it at all. And looking back now, made loads of mistakes. I thought I was, the ego went first, and I thought that the role was telling people what to do and how to do it, and that's not quite how it works, is it? And from there I kind of moved around a little bit, various jobs, and where have I worked? I've worked in call centres, I've worked in small businesses, I've worked in big businesses, worked for family businesses, but all kind of in and around sales and a lot of technology. And then as I kind of got up further in my career, I went a little bit further up in the chain, sales manager to sales director, sales and marketing director, but always in and around sales. And then we'll talk about this a bit more, and as we go on. But I kind of got to a point then in my career where I thought there's got to be more to work and more to life than this. It got very hard work, personally as well as professionally for me, and it was like, I can't keep doing this, and that that's where I kind of took that crossroads of, okay, I need to do something different. What does that different look like? And it was, it's doing this, working for myself, and but also following my own sort of personal ambitions and dreams as well, doing something different outside of this, which is the counselling that I'm doing. So, it got me to a position where, through success, but also through a bit of hardship, drove me to doing what I'm doing today.
I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? I think you learn from those hard times as much as you learn from the good times. I think you were saying there, you probably learned a lot more as a sales manager when it went wrong rather than when it went
definitely.
right.
I look back now at some of the things, I remember some examples that I won't say in case the people are watching. But yeah, I think of the way that I dealt with certain people in certain situations in the past, and I sort of cringe to myself now. I think, oh God, did I really do that? You know, that wasn't the right way to deal with it? But yeah, you're right. That's how you learn in anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
You learn more by your mistakes than usually by your successes. I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. We all have. Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you? How have you got here?
What about me? So I have always, I did a geography degree, and everyone said, go and be a geography teacher. And I thought, no, that sounds like hell. Apologies, anyone who is a geography teacher. I know a few. And then I just fell into a HR job. I just basically got a job in an NHS trust in HR, and everyone said, oh, you'll NHS job for life, which sounded like hell to me, like staying in the same job till I was
again,
like...
apologies to everyone in NHS.
Yeah, no, and I think it was more like job for life, and I think that mentality's definitely shifted. Like, people rarely focus on that, but obviously previous generations, it was very much you get settled into somewhere and then you stay for life, and that just wasn't me. I knew it wasn't me. So within about 12 months, I'd left there, moved to lots of different sectors in HR and training, worked in charity sector, financial services, did a stint in a consultancy, so worked with lots of small businesses, and that was when I got a bit of a bug for I'd quite like to do this for myself at some point. Worked with lots of different businesses, and then I stepped back into kind of the kind of not in that consultancy world, that in-house HR world, and I went into retail for a few years, and that was a massive eye-opener. Very different from other sectors I'd worked in. And yeah, it just wasn't me. I didn't fit the mould. I hadn't come up through the ranks in retail. I'd kind of gone in at mid-senior level and had a very different background to everyone else. So I started to, I guess, doubt myself a little bit, doubt my own knowledge, because there was just a very set way of doing things. And I guess it's the same thing, really. I guess looking back now and reflecting on it, having those hard times in that kind of part of my career led me to where I am now, because it would have always been something I'll do in the future. I'll work for myself at some point. But yeah, I had a couple of different roles in retail, and I just thought, I'm not enjoying what I do anymore. It just isn't me. I'd always had this very much kind of very HR, employment law type background. And it was just a completely different kind of game, really, one that I hadn't kind of got the rules for and wasn't sure how to play. So yeah, I left there, and similar to you, kind of thought, what do I want from life? What do I want to be doing? Do I want to just turn up to a desk 9 to 5 for the next 30 years of my career, or do I want to do something different? So yeah, kind of stepped off and started working for myself and set up Hollow HR.
Yeah, you said something important a second ago, is that when you worked at the consultancy, you worked for lots of other businesses, that was something you enjoyed. And then you kind of reflect back on that, don't you? And I was the same. When I sort of sat thinking, what do we do now? It was like, well, what was it I actually enjoyed about the role? And for me, it was working with people, which is why I always say, for me, it's people first. And I was always really interested in that. What makes a business tick? How does it actually work? Even way back, one of my first jobs, I worked at Safeway. I don't think they even exist anymore. As a student, but even then I was interested in how things work. How does these things get on the shelf? Who orders them? Where do they come from? How much?
Should have done the job I did in retail.
Maybe, well, I did try retail for a very short space of time, and again, I won't mention the name of the company, but yeah, it didn't end particularly well. But again, one of those experiences I look back on and think, I've learned a little bit from that. Yeah, like we say, you learn from your mistakes, don't you? And kind of where things maybe haven't gone as you planned and as you'd hoped for. But yeah, interestingly, when someone said to me job for life, that sounded awful to me. And when I was employed, I moved around a lot. I did sort of 3 years at places and then moved on again, which I think is really interesting, because the one place that I stuck with the longest and enjoyed was when it was an in-house consultancy, because the variety of working with different businesses all the time was the thing that appealed to me the most. Hence why now I love what I do, because I have lots of different clients, lots of different sectors, really varied. No 2 days are the same, and that's what I enjoy about it. And again, it's interesting, isn't it, when you talk to people, is that I guess it's a bit of the counselling. This he's trying to get people to understand what it is that you actually enjoy and what you want.
Yeah.
And for some people, it is I don't want to move. That fear of change, that fear of not having a job for life. You know, it's scary to some people. So it's trying to tap into that. What is it about me that is going to make me happy? What's going to make me wake up tomorrow morning and think today's okay? So that's that's what it was for me. Really, is very similar to you. But I didn't want to do the same thing day in, day out. It didn't bring me a lot of happiness towards the end. And so that having a bit of variety and a bit of change was a big motivator for me.
Yeah. So tell us what you do now.
That's a good question. What do I do now?
And you've also alluded to the counselling as well, which I know we've shared and talked about. So you can maybe share a bit about that?
Yeah. So I guess in my day job, what do I do? A business consultant. I always find it quite difficult to explain what I do. You know, is it in a package? It's almost in a marketing kind of way. What do you do? But for me, it's all about that change. It's about the people within a business and how can we make the people and the business better by working together more efficiently, and taking a business from where are we today, what does today look like, what's your ambitions for the future, and how do we join those two things up, and are they real, and look at the plans and the strategies around that. And again, when I sat down and did what did I enjoy about the jobs I've done, the jobs I really enjoyed was where change was involved, where it was, we need to grow this business, or we need to sell this business, or whatever it was, that there was a plan that had to be put in place and a strategy, and it was all a bit scary and a bit exciting at the same time. And that's the bit I really enjoyed, and that's kind of what I do is I help businesses to put plans into place and put strategies into place that get them where they want to go, and challenge a little bit as well. Is challenge people. Is that possible? And what happens if? Yeah.
And is that what you meant when you said, is that even real?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I was laughing with somebody this morning actually, and saying, you speak to people and they have this massive ambition of, I want to go from here to here, and that's the ambition. And then when you prod around and ask, is it possible? And actually, what happens when you get there? Again, we definitely covered this in one of the podcasts. Is if you get to that position, what else needs to change? Do you need to change premises? Do you need more people? Do you need different people, different skill sets? What does your cost base look like? Where's your supply chain coming from? It's all those parameters, isn't it, around that again I find quite exciting, which other people might not. But for me, that's the exciting bit. Is that's a great dream, but what's the reality of that dream? How can we make that happen? And that's what I like, that sort of strategy piece, and really taking. I think we've laughed about this before as well. I say I make people's dreams reality. Yeah, and that doesn't sound as fluffy as it is. It's like, okay, there's your dream.
Like Simon Cowell.
That's Simon Cowell. Yeah, that's Simon Cowell from Bury. Yeah, but it is. It's okay. What is that dream, and what is the reality behind it? How can we make that happen? And is it real? So I quite like that little analogy. Make people's dreams real.
And also, I think sometimes it's someone else's dream. Like people think, I want this multi-million-pound business and 500 staff under me and all that kind of stuff. But I think actually, is that what they want, or do they want the freedom of not having to turn up to a desk 5 days a week, or do they want the private jet, but they don't really want like the pressure of that kind of what that 500 like strong wage bill looks like and that kind of thing. It's not always their dream, is it?
And actually that fits in with the counselling thing. You asked there, it's understanding the people. We're going to go back to that people thing. Is what is it about that achievement that drives you as an individual? That's all my starting point. Is always what is it that you want? What's behind that dream? Is it do you want to take your business to multi-million pounds so you can ultimately sell it and retire early and live a happy life? Is it you're looking for some glory? And there's nothing wrong in that. You want a legacy. Do you want to prove something and achieve something? So that people bit is really important. Is what is it about this dream and this ambition that is you? Where is you in this? Or actually, it's like you said, is it someone else's dream? Are you told from above that this is the dream and you're just following it? But again, what's in it for you for that? So I think I find that really fascinating. And the counselling thing was, I make no secret of my sort of past and my story. I had some really tough times, and it took its toll on me. But through therapy and through that finding yourself, which sounds again a little bit fluffy, but it's not. It's not an exaggeration. It saved my life, and it took me to where I am today. So I kind of want to give something back as well, and I enjoy the learning side of it, but there's a real crossover between kind of counselling methodology and coaching methodology and just working with people. There's a lot of similar traits in there, but for me it's about giving back. It's about helping people find their own personal dream. Again, I know that sounds a little bit woo, but it's true. I think
we love woo woo.
I like a bit of woo woo, but when you help people to do that, it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I'm the same. Like, I know you referenced coaching there, and as well as being a HR consultant, I do leadership coaching. And that for me is because, same as you, and I think that's why we've talked about this a lot and why we found this common ground, is that I've kind of been through my own sort of self-development journey, and part of that was, some coaching and trying to understand my own personal motivations really and who I was, and that helped me. And then it obviously complements nicely with what I do it is day job for me, but I guess that like HR consultancy is about the people aspect of your business. And although HR sounds very kind of formal and strict and policing, and there's an element of, yes, we have to comply with legislation, but it is just about people. And actually those people are the people that are driving your business forward. So what does that mean? How do they connect with your business? How do they understand what your business is trying to achieve? Do they understand what it's trying to achieve? The value that your business brings versus they could go and get a job down the road. What makes them get out of bed every day? And I think certainly when you've got a leadership team who are disconnected from that, then how are they going to deliver and kind of make the business profitable? So that leadership coaching for me is really about actually understand, do your values align to those of the business? Can you kind of think about what their business is trying to get to, and then put steps in place to bring the team along with you as a leader within that business. And does that match what you feel personally? Like we said, is that someone else's dream? Are you like kind of wanting this private jet or the status or the kudos of, a certain job title, but actually it's not what you enjoy? Because that we can't hide from our own sort of emotions.
No, definitely not.
If you're not kind of up for the challenge, then it'll just kind of get the better of you. So,
So I find it difficult to describe what I do without going into loads of like conversation. But what about you? What is it? If you had to describe what it is that you do.
I hate this, and I hate when you go networking. I know we met networking, and we'll come on to that. But I hate like doing your kind of 60-second pitch of what you do. I always say it's about people, really. It's about anything that governs that relationship, which even that sounds very formal, but I guess anything from recruiting employees to your business, setting very clear objectives with employees, engaging them throughout your business, managing all their life stages, whether or not they're taking periods of absence, whether or not there's a kind of family issue, they're kind of taking time out for family reasons, whether or not they are maybe not performing and we need to support them, performance management, etc., put processes into place, all the way through to potentially them exiting your business. And when they're exiting your business, like, are they walking away as an ambassador? Is it kind of a friendly exit versus, something kind of a little bit more maybe not the nicest exit, and therefore how do you kind of manage that? So it's that whole people aspect really, but I support lots of different clients, lots of different sectors, which as I said before is what I enjoy, but I get to know all of those sectors. So whether or not they're in a regulated environment, whether or not they need to potentially DBS employees because of the nature of the services that they deliver, whether or not you need to understand a little bit about working financial services. So what does the FCA say about your employees? Do they have to be in particular like roles regulated? Is it an approved role? All that kind of stuff. So I really get to know all that compliance stuff for my clients as well, kind of get to know their businesses, and then help them kind of with a people strategy and an approach to, okay, how do we put all the policy stuff in place, but how do we also engage people on that journey? How do we get them to be bought in? Because if they're not bought in, you can have the best policies in the world, but if they're not bought in, there's that disconnect, and they won't deliver for you. So and then like I say, but the leadership coaching as well, so usually with the senior teams around, actually how do we get you to be connected, and how do you then manage your teams to kind of have that same connection to the organisation?
It's always interesting, isn't it, as having that linear approach to the strategy, isn't it? That the leadership, the managers underneath it, the people delivering, and everybody is on the same the same line, aren't they? And following the same goal and the same strategy. Because, we've both worked in businesses. We've laughed about it before, haven't we? Where the senior leader are off, strategizing about green ones, and the product team are off building blue ones, while the sales team are trying to sell yellow ones, and the marketing team are promoting purple ones. And there's a whole disconnect in the business there. And no one's quite understanding what each other's doing, and that's part of the job that I enjoy as well. Is joining all those dots up and trying to align the whole business behind a single strategy that they can all follow. There's different plans that fall off those and different mini strategies, but ultimately the business strategy is the one thread that should pull everybody along, really. And that coaching journey is interesting then, isn't it? Is how do you get the people bought into it? I always work on that little wheel, the people, process, systems and data, and trying to have that all flowing round together. And you're right, you can have the best processes in the world, the most beautifully written processes and the best, systems and the data that's pumped out of it, but it doesn't mean anything if the people aren't bought into it. It's, again, some of the best businesses I've worked in, we worked off spreadsheets. And it was brilliant because the people knew what those spreadsheets meant, knew what to put in it, knew what data came out of it. We made decisions based on that data, and the strategy worked perfectly. And it was all fired off a spreadsheet, and then actually when we invested in things like Salesforce, it all fell apart because no one knew how to use it. And people weren't bought into it because they weren't part of the process of choosing those systems. So there was resistance, there was conflict, and the synergy wasn't there, the cohesion wasn't there anymore because people didn't believe in what was happening.
Which is interesting. I know we'll talk in a minute about kind of some of the topics we've talked about covering on this podcast, which we'd love to hear more about what people want to hear.
Definitely.
But there's a couple of things you mentioned in there that I think are kind of key topics that we think would be worth exploring, and that kind of disconnect bit and how people feel safe to kind of bring it to life and say that, I need to kind of put my hand up and say this doesn't work for me. That's the kind of stuff that we can try and build cultures around.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially around the performance management. I know that's something we're going to do in an up and coming podcast. But for me, it's vital. It's the people part, isn't it? And obviously, from a HR point of view, it underpins everything. That process of managing and auditing and checking and aligning targets and goals and doing appraisals properly and one-to-ones properly, and I don't want to spoil the next podcast, but performance management seems like sometimes it's a bit of a dirty word, isn't it? Or performance management means we're telling people off. It's not. It's about making your business and your people better. And
I think the thing is, you've mentioned there about like kind of spreadsheets and everyone knew what data to plug in. I think that's the one thing I talk to clients about a lot, is what metrics are people working towards. And that is very black and white, and like people are not black and white. We all like work in shades of grey. But I think ultimately, if you're really clear with people and you've got something like a spreadsheet which says X number of something, it's like the SMART objectives, isn't it? It's that M, it's your measurable. Like what does that look like? And I think unless you can articulate that to the team, how can you then hold them to account for something they've not delivered when you're not really sure what that measurable is? So I think when you've got a business that, like there's lots of kind of variables and people are people, but ultimately where you've got a business where everyone's really clear what those measures are, then it kind of should flow a lot nicer.
It should do, in theory, when the measures again flow through that line, the sales targets are in line with the marketing targets, and the marketing targets and the sales targets actually flow into your product development and what's coming out and how that works, and your delivery teams then know what's going through your pipeline, and everybody's working across the same the same dynamics, the same goals. It makes it's a huge difference. Not easy to do, but that's the dream. Making people's dreams a reality again. Back to that bit.
So how did we meet and why did we start this podcast then? Should we talk a bit about that?
Well, you kind of touched it before, didn't it, when you set up with your own business. I was laughing with a friend of mine when I set up. I said, what do I do? I said, I've got my business set up and I've got my paper clips and my highlighters. What do I do on Monday morning? Where do I start? And he kind of laughed at me. But that's the whole networking thing, isn't it? Is getting out there, and that's no different to any business, is it? It's marketing at its roots. So how do I get in front of people? How do I meet people? And how do I find clients? And we met at think it was a fire station, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, a networking event.
At a fire station.
Local tour of a new fire station they did like it looked like Coronation Street, like a fake set, didn't they, with houses, and it was they invited lots of local businesses to come along and have a look at this new kind of like what am I calling it, like a fake
fake street, it's where they do the training, isn't it, for like car crashes or house fires and things. It was a bit surreal, really.
It was,
so there was no seats either, was it? So we're all just stood up, wandering
stood
around
up near the coffee,
near the coffee, and I think they had biscuits as well. But I think we got talking, didn't we? I think someone introduced us.
Nina introduced us, who is a lovely kind of fundraiser for local charities.
That's right,
local hospice, and she introduced us because I knew her before. I don't know if you actually knew her before, if you only met her at that event.
I'd met her at another networking event, so I kind of recognised her, and because, as you do in the early days, I kind of latched on to her. There's somebody I know I'm going to go and talk to them.
And I will say, I've known her for a while, and she's brilliant at going, oh, you should talk to this person. So she'd absolutely connected us and said there might be a bit of synergy there, and you might kind of get on well, and kind of feel like we just went from there, didn't we, really? We met up for coffee and talked for hours about our businesses, who we worked with, like the kind of stuff we enjoyed, what we got from disasters.
It, and, along the way. But it's great to meet people who are on the same kind of wavelength, because I think that was something straight away when we started speaking, wasn't it? We were very different businesses and different backgrounds, but ultimately our
like what we want to achieve and support clients with.
Was very much the same. We're from slightly different angles, but so much crossover from it there, wasn't it? And I think it was probably your idea. Like, let's do a podcast. We can talk about this. And,
blame me. But I got carried away. I was taking over the world at one point, I think.
I think we were talking endorsements, so if anyone does want to endorse us, we'll go with
We'll
that.
have a few.
I don't mind what clothes I wear. If someone wants to pay me to wear them, I'll wear anything.
I was going to say something then, but I won't kind of shout out product placement or get in trouble for that. I don't think we're that.
We're not there. We could just like casually drop it in. I do quite like Puma trainers. So I don't want to send me anymore.
Show them on, and then we said, let's do a podcast, and I'm sure there's lots of different topic areas that we can talk about and touch on, and maybe, I guess, bring some of our conversations and our experiences to life, obviously anonymised and in the right way, but maybe this is a way to give people a bit of a flavour of what we do, and hopefully help them on their journeys as well if they're running a business. And then if they think actually there's a need for something that me or you do, then it's worth having a further conversation. But I think for us it was more getting some kind of bite-sized stuff out there, wasn't it?
And some common stuff that we know that everybody, everyone we speak to has very common challenges in the business, don't they? So it's good to get them out there, because there's so many people have the same challenges. But it'd be great for people to fire some ideas over to us, you talk about this, or I've got this particular challenge in my business, how would you approach it? I think we were talking before, weren't we, about maybe having some guests on at some point, and talking to people in the business. Give us a shout.
So I think the couple of key topics we are hoping to do in the next few weeks are performance management and psychological safety, and that was the one I kind of alluded to earlier, because I think for me a big thing I see in businesses is I will have a conversation with a manager who will tell me this is going on, this is why, this person isn't performing, and then I do primarily support the business. That is ultimately the role of HR, but now and again I get that conversation with the employee who, when I come out of that discussion, or the manager leaves the room and the employee tells me something, I think, wow, they've completely, without dropping my drink, they're totally at different opposites in terms of what they think the situation is. So I kind of think psychological safety is really important. If people feel that they are in that place of work where they can openly be themselves, talk about what's going on, even if the decision is that this isn't the right role for you, or this organisation just completely misaligns with your values, that's okay. But we've felt safe enough to address that. So I think they're two key topics we're thinking of over the next few weeks. But we would love to hear from anyone who's watching. If you've got something that you'd love to hear from us about, or you've experienced in your business, like you said, maybe we'll do a Q&A in a few weeks as well.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Q&A.
But drop us some notes in the comments, and we'll try and address those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the two topics go hand in hand, don't they? As well. If you're performance managing people, you've got to have the psychological safety to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And people feel, in a safe enough environment to be able to open up and talk about things.
Yeah.
And how it's affecting the performance. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of depth into both of those subjects, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Fab. Yeah. Are we wrapping up? Is that us for the day?
I think that's us for today now. Yeah, my tea's nearly finished. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully that's given everyone a bit more of a flavour about who we are, why we're doing this. Yeah. We'd love to hear from people. We'll put our details on the bottom here in terms of how you can connect with us. But I think
do like and subscribe like the kids do.
Yeah. But hopefully we'll kind of in the next few weeks start getting those episodes out there. And if you like this format, let us know. We thought it'd be nice to do it a bit more informal, a bit more face to face than on a platform. So we'd just love any feedback and anything you'd like to hear from us about. We will make sure we put it on our list.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. Thanks.